right, good evening. Welcome, everybody. We are hosting a special city council meeting, so I will now call to order the special city council meeting of March 19th, 2020. Joanna, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Lively.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford.
Here.
Councilmember Witkovich.
Here.
Councilmember Peterson.
Here.
Councilmember Downing.
Here.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Goff.
Here.
Councilmember Duran-Mullica.
Here.
Councilmember Escabel.
Kind of looks frozen in time, too.
Antonio, do you hear us? Oh, he looks like he dropped off for just a minute. I don't know if we can mark him present with technical difficulties right now.
Sure.
Just a reminder, I think most of us know to just kind of stay on mute unless you're sharing. And that way we won't get a ton of background noise during this process. I appreciate everyone being flexible at this time with this format. I'm sure we'll get Antonio back in just a minute. I'm hoping. I'm going to call him just in case. Let me just see. Thank you for your patience. Hi. Okay, do you need help getting back on? Okay, well your screen is okay. Your screen is black. No. You can try that, sure. Really? Okay, so go ahead and give that a try. We'll wait just a minute. It might be easier just to phone in from here. Yeah, so if you hang up with me, Antonio, you can call in. Okay, well, you can, like Julie's participating via phone call only, so you can do that. You just need to go into that email that was sent. Okay, I'm going to hang up so you can use your phone. Okay, bye.
Mayor, can I ask Corey a question?
Well, so Becky, I'm looking at your notes. I'm going to have to say no because I don't have access to any of that. Like whatever weird format it comes up for me on Chromebook. I can't find the chat. I see your comments coming in one at a time, but I can't see them. And
you don't have that bar, that toolbar at the bottom?
It does not have chat. I'm telling you, every time I use Zoom this week, it's super clear. I can't find it in this format. I could put a little coffee cup for you. I could do a thumbs up for you, but I can't chat. And so Corey was just reminding everybody not to do that,
Okay.
not to communicate via text because Diana can't see it. So we'll just wait a minute. Antonio is having difficulties getting off and back on. So, oh, now I found it. Let's see here. We should not be discussing via text, is what Corey said.
I just thought maybe if I wanted to raise my hand, you know, but I guess you could do that, huh?
I hope so. Why don't we practice a little bit of the functionality here? There should be a raise your hand piece. Can you try it, Becky? And I'll see if
I don't think we have that option on this version. Yeah, I'm not seeing it.
Oh, I see. Ashley's raising her hand.
Ashley, where'd you find it?
It's under more, you know where the mute button is and participants in the top right. I don't know if that's where it is for everybody else, but there's a more button. And then there's the raised hand. You can also say yes or no.
I see it.
I don't.
I know. I found where it can go up and down, but I haven't quite found the hand yet.
Well, and it's funny. I can see the hand, but I can't. I can't add my hand. I don't unless I go out, and then I have the more button. Oh, raise hand. There. I don't know. Okay. Well, we will do our best. I think we may have to be patient with one another and go slowly. Good thing the agenda is short. The first time using this technology definitely can be challenging. We can do our best. We'll see. So this person has their hand raised. Is that Julie? Are you on in two different formats?
I am technically, I think.
Okay.
But I don't know how I raised the hand. I don't know how that works.
Well, you have your hand raised.
It's not my hand.
Like I don't.
Well, here's my question. While we wait, how would people feel about moving to communications first?
Sure.
Great idea.
Okay.
So is that okay? We're going to move forward with that. All right. So we're just moving down the agenda while we wait for Antonio to join us. We will start with communications. Heather, do you approve of that idea?
I support that. That's fine.
Okay. Actually, I think he just came on, so we may not need to. Antonio, can you hear us?
Yes, I just got on with my iPhone. I'm not on visible.
That's great. So we can hear you. Joanna, do you need to add that to the roll call?
I've noted him as present now. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, well, we will move into resolutions. We have two. The first one is CR 70. Joanna, will you read the title?
A resolution consenting to the order declaring a local disaster emergency in and for the city of Northglenn, Colorado.
Move for approval. This is Jenny.
Second. Becky.
Second.
City Manager Geyer, would you like to provide a summary?
You'll need to unmute, Heather.
You got me. Thank you, Councilmember Goff. This item is for council's consideration this evening. The mayor issued an emergency declaration, which she has the authority to do last Friday. Under our city code, the council is required to continue or extend the emergency declaration for longer than 7 days. And so the declaration, as you see it before you, did have a date change of April 17th. And we did that to be consistent with the state of Colorado and the guidance that we've been given from the state.
So I had a question as part of the discussion. April 17th was the date provided by the governor for a couple of things. Is the state's emergency declaration only good that long? I thought it was pushed out further.
That's a good question, Mayor. I don't actually know off the top of my head what the date of the state's emergency declaration is. We can certainly try to get that information and provide that to council. I can try to look that up here quickly. Corey, do you happen to know?
I think the difficulty is there's a whole host of different dates for different purposes.
Yeah.
And so this April 17th, frankly, is a placeholder because it can be amended or modified by council at any time. So if we need to come back and modify it, we can certainly do so. But this is sort of the best available information as of this moment, subject to change probably in an hour. So that's why we put this as the placeholder.
Okay, that is exactly what I was thinking, Corey, is that it's there are dates for a variety of different things and a variety of different cities versus the state kind of thing. So as long as everyone understands that it's a placeholder and it can be extended, I think that's fine.
Definitely.
Any other discussion on that? Okay, hearing none. Joanna, how would you like to hold a vote?
So we will do a roll call vote. So essentially, I will call the roll of council, and when you hear your name, if you'll just verbally indicate your vote, and I'll record it in the vote system.
Okay.
Alrighty. Mayor Leidy?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford?
Yes.
Councilmember Witkovich?
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Downing?
Yes.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Goff?
Yes.
Councilmember Duran-Mullica?
Yes.
Councilmember Escabel?
Yes.
So CR-70 passes unanimously.
Great, thank you. The next one is an action item discussing the cancellation of our March 23rd regular city council meeting. So we are asked to cancel the meeting by motion. Is there a motion to cancel the March 23rd regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
It,
Yes. Jenny?
So I do have a question about, I'm okay canceling this meeting. I just wonder, based on the modeling and some of the predictions that we're seeing, we could be all working remotely for some time. And I just am curious if we've had a moment, or if staff has had a moment to think through, at what point council convenes remotely and continues to move forward on some of the work that we've been moving.
Catherine, do you have a question?
well, it was basically very similar, just how soon, if anybody has any estimate or idea of how soon we could do something like we're doing tonight in place of a regular council meeting, and on Mondays as close to normal as we could possibly make it under the circumstances.
Heather, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Right now, the tentative future agendas that were, I believe Joanna sent those out yesterday via email, shows the April 13th meeting. We moved items that were originally scheduled for March 23rd to the April 13th meeting. We could have this meeting remotely as we're doing this evening. This was done based on just a matter of days ago, understanding that we could be moving forward with normal meetings in mid-April. Again, that's shifted significantly over the last couple of days. So my recommendation would be that council cancel the March 23rd meeting. We could hold a meeting on April 6th. That's the placeholder for a study session evening. However, based on the way the tentative future agenda is organized, I think that we can move forward with a regular meeting on April 13th.
And the only thing I would add is if council needs to act, we can always convene a meeting on 24 hours notice. So even though we have that April 6th or April 13th dates out there, there is nothing preventing the council if we need to from getting together.
So if I could say something real quick, Mayor, I don't have a problem meeting forward like this. The only thing I would like to consider is
Julie.
What?
Is this you?
Yes, sorry, this is Julie.
Oh, if you could identify yourself before you start speaking, that would be helpful.
Got it. Sorry. This is Julie.
Thank you.
Moving forward, I don't have a problem meeting like this. The only thing I would like to consider is the I guess the time that staff has to put together meetings and content, given everything else that's going on. That is the only consideration I think we should also consider. I know our work needs to continue, but at what pace and how does that look?
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you. I'm trying to see. I don't know. Does anyone else want to pipe in? I don't see any raised hands.
I have not figured out how to raise my hand, so I did it like this. This is Becky Brown. I agree with Julie. I want to start going, and I want to keep going with the city, but I don't know what we can reasonably expect from the staff in order to do that. So, at the very worst, I think we should start meeting at least on the 13th so that we're doing this every week, you know?
Well, and I can say this is not my favorite platform. This has not been user friendly, and I can't even figure out how to move around through this system. So I'm going to hesitate to want to do that. It does bring up some question around if this is, first of all, if this is the only format we can use, I think that is going to be a deterrent for me. Second, Heather, I'm wondering about the emergency declaration was different than the city closures. And so like Corey said earlier, we've got different deadlines and different dates for different pieces, right? The restaurant piece goes for a certain time. So I believe we had only closed our city facilities for 2 weeks. When is that going to change?
That changed a couple days ago. I sent that communication out to City Council via one of my daily updates. And that's been communicated to the public that the city facilities are closed until further notice following that 30-day guidance from the state. So part of why we, the original date of April 15th in the resolution was also following that guidance. So we did adjust it to April 17th today to be consistent. So I think all in all, we are consistent with that 30-day window of time. You know, certainly it's subject to change based on how things develop moving forward. But I think we're being as consistent as possible. The only piece of information that I don't have is the date that the state's declaration identifies. But I would say we're being very consistent.
Okay, Corey, do you have your hand up?
I do not.
Okay, it shows that you do. What about Joanna? I have a little blue hand. No? All right, and I got one. Becky, you've got a little blue hand. No? Okay.
I couldn't even figure out where the little blue hand was, so I'm
Me
sorry.
either. Me either.
He's right over your face on my screen.
Oh my gosh.
This, I am telling you, this is crazy. Oh, and I keep losing the whole platform. Okay. So, I mean, we're good canceling the 23rd. Does anyone object to that? Because I think that's what we're voting on.
I'm good with it.
I'm fine. That's fine.
Okay. Joanna, will you call the vote, please?
Mayor Leidy,
Here. Oh, yes.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitkovich,
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Downing,
Yes.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Goff,
Yes.
Councilmember Duran-Mullica,
Yes.
Councilmember Escabel.
Yes.
The motion to cancel the March 23rd, 2020 regular city council meeting passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we can move into communications. One thing I just wanted to note,
Oh no, is she frozen?
Yeah, she got
and we're
lost.
going to talk.
Frozen?
Oh, there. Hi, you're back.
Oh,
We missed you.
Hello, do you see me now?
Yes.
That's the new, do you hear me now? So if we could, in the future, if we use this platform, it just sounds uncomfortable when you vote before Joanna finishes saying your name. So I think if we allow that space in between, it'll sound a little more clear. We were kind of talking over each other a little bit. So for communications, let's go ahead and start with Ashley.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't really have any communications. All meetings have been canceled recently, so there hasn't been anything to attend. I'll just wish that everybody is well in Northglenn, and that if anybody needs anything, they're sure to reach out to us. I think I probably speak for everybody when I say that, but that's all I've got.
Thank you. Councilmember Peterson.
Yeah, I'd echo that. I just think during this time, I think of people working at King Soopers. I think of people providing what are now considered to be essential services, and tip my hat off to everybody that's doing so much right now during this very, very tough time. I wanted to bring up to council the idea, and I wanted to take the temperature of council on this, on whether there might be a need to invoke any sort of emergency rules for home delivery for medical marijuana products. I can see a lot of different perspectives on this. I've talked to all the dispensaries in the city, and some of this is good public policy and maybe good health policy. And part of that is continuing with social distancing, keeping older people and the most vulnerable people away from face-to-face contact. We could do something like this with an emergency resolution. A lot of perspectives on this, but I wanted to throw this out to my colleagues here on council and see if this is something that would, in fact, in the collective view of everybody, be good public and good health policy, and if this is something that we want to talk about or consider further.
Catherine.
I have some questions about this or concerns or, trying to understand. Right now, grocery stores many of them have special hours for seniors, and people still have to go to their doctor's office for other kinds of medical treatments. So it seems, I mean, I don't know if the medical marijuana industry has considered special hours for seniors, if that's their primary concern. That seems like maybe like a first step for them to kind of respond to this situation. Some concerns I have with the delivery, if it's, I mean, are they still going to hand deliver it to people or just leave it on the doorstep and then, you know, you have porch pilots? I don't know. It just, I would need a little bit more information, and I wondered if they'd considered special hours for seniors.
I think it's a little different with that population that is purchasing not recreational, medical marijuana. You know, a lot of those people are using the marijuana to replace opioids and things like that for pain. So a lot of people would be at risk just to come out of their home. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm just giving you the perspective. In the other states that actually do have home delivery, it's very heavily regulated on what can be delivered, the amounts that can be delivered, anything like that. You can't just leave it on the porch. Obviously, somebody has to sign for it, just like it's a Schedule 4 narcotic. You know, my gut feeling on it is it's something that I would like to not integrate in to Northglenn on a normal basis. But when you sent your email out, Randall, it was something that I didn't think of. You know, as we're going through all these processes, there's so many things that you think of later, or you know, somebody else thinks of first, or whatever. I had not thought about our Northglenn residents on using medicinal marijuana for health purposes and how we could accommodate them. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you bringing it up to our attention.
So I would like to go through and kind of take the pulse. Randall, I'm going to let you have the last word after each council member gets to respond, since you did send the information via email. So I'm going to start with Ashley, but I would like to hear from everybody.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this isn't really something that I had thought about until receiving Randall's email. It seems like in other places where this is done, it is highly regulated, and you know, it takes quite a bit to kind of get it into place. And so I would agree with Becky that I'm not quite sure that I would want to do this on a full-time basis, but perhaps maybe on an emergency basis. But I do also agree with Catherine and her statement about perhaps special hours for seniors. And I do also think this should only apply to medicinal. And then Becky mentioned an example of having to sign for it in another state, and that totally makes sense. But if you're having to sign for it, I don't think that minimizes the risk of transferring the virus. So something I would like to think about more. I think possibly on an emergency basis, that this would be something I would support. But I'd like to hear what everyone else has to say.
Joyce, how about you?
I'm not sure where I come down on this. I've thought about it throughout the day. I'm worried we would set a precedent and other businesses may come up and suggest that they had a need just as pressing as the medical marijuana. And I agree with Ashley and Becky that I think we need to find out more. I think I'm probably more on the negative right now than I am anything else.
Thank you. Becky, do you want to say something else, or are you good?
No, I'm never good if I'm given an opportunity to talk about this. You know, the one thing that I just want to say, one of the things that has me thinking that maybe we do want to address this as an emergency basis is the fact that the liquor stores are all delivering around here now. And I can drive up to a brewery and I can buy my home brew there. You know what I mean? I can take it home as long as I'm not consuming it there or they're delivering. So I think that we have to remember when we start really looking into this that everybody's businesses are evolving on how they are keeping their people happy. You know, their what are they? Their clients happy. So we need to start thinking of this in the same way.
Okay.
And again, I'd like to thank Randall for bringing it up.
Thank you. Julie.
Hi, this is Julie. So I just wanted to say, I think that this is a really interesting issue. I think I'm kind of torn through this conversation. One of the things that I'm concerned about, of course, is the health of these particular businesses and just small business in general, right? Everybody's kind of taking a hit under this current situation. Based off of just, I guess, the basic, I don't know, epidemiology or the guidance that we're given is to do the social distancing, right? I don't really see that this could be a factor really so much for medicinal marijuana, specifically because folks who are going in for medical purposes, they actually go through a different entrance. The traffic is a lot lighter. I mean, that and alone, I would think that as like a low risk type of transaction. So I think if we're concerned about just municipal use, I don't think the risk is really there. If it's recreational use and actually the health of the business, then that's a different conversation. For me, this is a big question to ask and to start implementing. And I think especially in this format and with everything else going on right now, it just seems like a big thing to kind of take on. So I'm kind of siding on the no.
Catherine. Yep. There you go.
There we go. The only other thing I would have to add, because I'm kind of leaning against it at this particular point, but people have mentioned that in other states it can be delivered and it's highly regulated, but because it hasn't been allowed, as far as I know in Colorado, there aren't regulations for how it can be delivered. And is that something that we would have to take on if we were going to do that?
Mayor, can I interject for a minute?
Sure.
This is Corey. If council were inclined to look at medical marijuana delivery, there was legislation in 2019 that authorized it. And so it would not be, if council wanted the ordinance, whether regular or on an emergency basis, there are regulations at the statewide level, and we would look to include those in the local ordinance. But we didn't even get to first base until we, Randall brought it up and wanted to have the discussion. But it would not just be a random delivery. The city would actually have to look at two things. One is whether to allow its medical marijuana businesses to deliver, and then secondly, whether to allow deliveries into Northglenn from medical marijuana businesses located outside of Northglenn. So it's both of those pieces, and it would be regulated, it would be purposeful. So it's just a question of whether to even open that door.
Okay, Jenny?
So I guess I appreciate, Randall, you bringing this up. I think it's something that, since the bill that Corey referenced in 2019 was passed, it's something that our council has been discussing and frankly wrestling with for some time, and in terms of whether or not we want to go down this path. And, I just want to be clear in that right now I'm a no. It doesn't mean I'm a no forever, but right now I'm a no for a couple of reasons. One is at my last Ward 4 meeting, this came up, whether or not we were going to allow tasting rooms, which is a separate issue, and whether or not we were going to allow marijuana delivery. There was a lot of concerns from the Ward 4 residents that were present at that meeting. And what I committed to was having a larger conversation with folks. And so I don't feel comfortable moving forward, without fully figuring out what this means in Northglenn and having that conversation that I promised the Ward 4 residents. The other thing is, just because it really is a new regulatory space for our city to consider, and I don't know that there are a whole lot of other models to build on at this point in terms of other jurisdictions that have implemented delivery rules and regulations. And, I seem to remember somebody, when we were having the conversation last at council about whether or not we wanted to open this door, someone had said, they were interested in exploring it, but the devil is truly in the details. And I worry that we're not having a conversation with our community about whether or not this is something that we are interested in doing. We're just jumping to, well, I've heard from a couple of people that this is something that they want. And I don't know if that's good public policy, because it essentially puts us in a place where it's really difficult to roll it back if it's not the right thing for us, because we've already said yes. The last thing I'll note is just that, I think that this is a lot of work for staff as well as us to figure out. And I would much rather have our staff focused on, confronting the COVID-19 pandemic and, making sure that our residents are safe. I think there are other things that our residents potentially could need first before they need medical marijuana. So I'm a no.
Antonio.
Yes. This is
Hey.
Antonio. I'm a definite no.
Okay. Do you want to tell us why?
Well, I think it was all the no votes that came forward. And after listening to them all and listening to Corey, it just needs to have good common sense right now.
Okay. I'm also a no. I have a couple concerns about, while I can appreciate the business request, because there is a lot of concern about the change in our business climate right now and how that's going to impact all of our Northglenn businesses. And it's already started with our restaurants and bars. I feel like it's a slippery slope. Had this been brought to us by 10 residents, I would probably want to explore it a little more. And I echo Jenny's sentiment of, I don't believe this is where we need to be spending our city staff time and energy right now, because they are really, really busy with a lot of other things. And we need to stay focused on the COVID-19 response. I have some other ideas on how to support residents that may be in that situation. And I think we can still support our residents in another way. And so when it's my turn for communications, I will circle back to an idea that might work. So Randall, would you like to wrap it up?
Yeah, I just thank you, everybody, for a very, very informative and very thoughtful discussion. I mean, this is a lot of things, and I appreciate everybody taking a look at this so thoughtfully and so thoroughly. I think that means a lot for us and for the constituents that we represent. A couple things is that in talking to many of our all of our marijuana retailers here in the city about this, as I indicated to you, opinion on this was not unanimous, right? And even within the community, there was some divisions on this. And so one of the things is, I think that, to surmise that I saw is there is some concern for those that are against this within the industry that the policy may be ahead of the regulations. One of the other things that's worthy of bringing to attention is that to a letter, to a person, the businesses are all in the marijuana industry in Northglenn absolutely laser focused on doing the right thing in terms of making sure that they are following the local, state, and federal regulations to a T. Obviously it's so heavily regulated, but they go out of their way to really make sure that they're dotting their I's and crossing their T's. And some of the concerns I heard was that this would allow or put them in a precarious position of looking or not being able to follow the regulations if it wasn't, ironclad. So I brought this up. I thought it was an interesting issue to further a larger conversation about public health, about health policy and public policy. And so I want to thank everybody for the thoughtful discussion. Very informative.
Thank you. All right, Joyce, you're up. Joyce, we got to get you unmuted. There we go.
Is that better?
Right.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, but anyway, just letting you know that all the meetings that I'm involved with, such as Adams County Cultural Council and Rocky Flats, all those meetings have been canceled until further notice. Also, I had the privilege of accepting a diversity award for the city of Northglenn when I was an NLC, and was able to show it off at one of the steering committee meetings I'm involved with. So that was really exciting. And then just one other thing, just for everybody to be aware of, the scammers are out there. I did have a phone call, actually myself, and it was a robocall, but it came from a legitimate number on the website from Excel. It was their number. And so and they said that they were going to turn my electricity off within the half hour if I didn't punch a number. So just want to make everybody aware of that. I did call the representative and they said they're not doing anything like that, So just for everybody to be aware that the scammers are out there and not to be taken in by anything like that.
Wow, thank you. That is a huge reminder for everybody.
Right.
Becky, communications. Come off mute.
All right, there it is. All my meetings have been canceled. Everybody's been hunkering indoors. I think my plea to the community is not to hoard. Remember that there are other people that need toilet paper too. And my one suggestion, the one thing my husband and I are trying to do, or we've made a commitment to do, is he's got to let me eat out occasionally. So we're going to eat out twice a week. We're going to have takeout. And I really want to make sure that the takeout restaurants that we go to, we can help them most. But I think it's really important for our residents to remember that we really want to be supportive of these restaurants. Personally, tonight, I believe I will be supporting Applebee's, although not in Northglenn, very yummy. But I think it's really important to remember that. And also, if at all possible, check on your elderly neighbors. I've made the rounds and I've sent Joe to go do the other side of the block. I just think it's really important that as a community, we behave like a community. And I'm very, very pleased. I mean, you just can feel the love when people finally, not in a grocery store, but finally get to connect again. It's like, oh my gosh, where have you been? So that's all I have right now.
Thank you. Just quick clarification. Applebee's is in Northglenn, right?
No.
Yes.
The other side of this.
Ward 4.
Yeah,
Applebee's. That one over there. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. We have the one on 120th, and then we have the one by Best Buy's. I apologize. Now I know where I got to go to the other one.
Go to the one by Best Buy.
That's right.
You got it.
All right. That's Ward 2. Catherine.
Okay. Well, first of all, I just would like to thank the staff that put together our meeting tonight, and with all the glitches and the learning curve that we have to go through to figure it out. This is so much better, I think, than nothing, which is what's happened the last, week or so. So this is a way I feel that we can stay connected to our citizens. And so I did want to do a shout out for the staff. Thank you very much. And then the other thing is, as all meetings have been canceled, the Colorado Communities for Climate Action does a bi-weekly conference call meeting. And so I did participate in that yesterday and got some legislative information. The state capitol is shut down right now indefinitely, so nothing being passed or discussed or anything like that. On March 24th, the state Supreme Court is going to be looking at information, hearing some briefs about the 120-day rule, which people may have heard about in the news, but our General Assembly, the legislators can only meet for 120 days in a session, and they're trying to see if they can interpret that. Does it have to be consecutive days, or the days they're taking off now because of the virus? Can they tag it on to the end of the regular session? Because that will make a big difference on how many bills can be passed. The other thing is that our state budget projections right now are pretty dismal. There will be no Tabor refunds this year, which earlier there were some indication that was going to happen, or people were saying it was going to happen. It's not going to happen. Any kind of a bill that had any money attached to it will not be passed this year in all likelihood. The state may be looking at cutting budgets or cutting programs. So there's it's not great news at that particular point. And so that may filter down to our city as well. One thing is the Joint Budget Committee is meeting. They have to meet because they have to pass the school finance for this year. And they also have to do a budget for this year. So they're still trying to work that out. Let's see. Well, I guess just kind of an added note, because this came through the Colorado Community for Climate Action. They're supporting bills or opposing bills based on the best information that they have. This group has to support our climate and the environment. And some of those maybe had money attached to them that will not be passed. But even the ones that did not directly, for example, banning single-use plastics, may have to be reconsidered because of the economic impact on small businesses who are already suffering due to the virus. So a lot of policy is affected. Everybody's kind of trying to figure out where we are, where we stand, and how to weigh, what we use, the criteria we use to make decisions, the environment, economics, health. So it's a tough time for everyone, and I hope that all our citizens are getting news from reliable sources, listening to their doctors, taking care of themselves, and watching some funny cat videos, at least on Facebook. That's it.
Thank you, Catherine. Julie.
All right, this is Julie. So I just wanted to say all of my meetings have been canceled, just like everybody else. So I don't have any report outs for my committees. The only thing I guess I really want to say is I think just a huge thank you to our staff who've been working really long hours in their incident command center, as well as the work that our local health department's doing and our state health department's doing and all of our hospitals are doing. This is definitely a very unprecedented time, I guess you could say. And some of the realities and decisions that we have to make aren't easy. And so it's just thank you for all the people who are out there working on responding. And then a huge, overwhelming thank you to all of our healthcare workers who continue to go into work every day, who continue to do what they signed up to do, and taking care of our patients, because those first responders, those healthcare workers, they're keeping things moving. So, and it's not easy. So, and it's only going to get worse. So thank you to all of those people who are working so hard and responding to this event.
Thank you. Antonio.
Yes, this is Antonio.
Hi.
I did what Julie just said. Further, I would like to commend our city manager and staff and mayor for their leadership in keeping me safe. I am one of those at high risk, and really appreciate their hard work, and kudos to all the good work that they've done. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to echo comments from Councilmember Escobar as well as Councilmember Duran Mullica. And I just want to say a huge thank you to staff, to Mayor Leidy, for all of your leadership and all of the ways that you all are keeping Northglenn safe. I think it's safe to say that this is a really unprecedented time that is scary for a lot of residents. And I just really want to encourage folks to take care of each other, have grace, and know that we're going to get through this together, one day at a time. So that's all I have this evening.
Thank you. So while all of our typical meetings have been canceled, my calendar filled right up with a ton of virtual meetings and conference calls. And I have to say it is truly a regional and state effort to keep all of our residents safe. I completely agree that our city staff is phenomenal. I had the opportunity to sit in on one of the emergency meetings, the organizational team, and they are fantastic. I mean, really, we just have to be so proud of them. They have a system in place. They are on top of it. So that makes me feel good. It's really great, but we're also, partnering with Adams County and staying in communication with Tri-County Health. And yesterday, I took part in a Metro Mayor's conversation that was hosted by Mayor Hancock, and it was very informative. All of these conversations are informative, but at the end of the day, the excitement is around the cohesion and the partnership. Everyone is communicating and collaborating, and it's that feels good, even though the rest of it feels really icky. And I have big concerns about the way this is going to play out and how it's going to impact the stress level and the mental health of our residents. So I threw together a small idea, and I would love it if the rest of you wanted to jump on and support and share. Created a Facebook page called Northglenn Cares. Jenny and I were kind of brainstorming that back and forth, and we threw it together. And I mean, in less than 36 hours, we had 95 people engaged on this very small Facebook group. The intent is, if you have a need, put it out there. If you have a talent or some time or even some money or resources to provide, put that out there. And so we've already started to have people post on there. Some of it is just uplifting. Jenny posted that really cool quote that Becky took. I shared it as well. So it is also a place for levity and joy and encouragement. And so we want to make sure that we're providing to our residents as well, but thinking through that might be a platform. Going back to the first topic of the marijuana delivery, that might be a platform for someone to say, I'm at one of those at-risk groups. I really need to go pick up a prescription. Is anyone willing to do that for me? I know personally, I would be happy to do that. And I know there's quite a few of us that have said to one another, how can I help? What can I do? And when all of our work schedules have gotten smaller and smaller due to this as well, that may give us some freedom to help. So I would encourage you, if you didn't get the invitation already, to look up Northglenn Cares, and then you can join that conversation. But once you find it, share it with everybody you know and see if we can get it to be pushed out as much as possible so that we can have those conversations. And if you have a strategy, like I just threw one out there the other day and said, well, what if we committed today, all 95 of us, to reaching out to 5 people? That's going to spread a little bit further than just sitting at home doing nothing. So as much as we can be creative to support our residents, I think that'll be helpful. And then a small shout out. Those of you know my son, Logan, he has been amazing at being a quarantined videographer and publisher of my mayor's videos. We tried last week to do the mayor's monthly minute from home. And he was so professional with the lighting and the timing and the videos and nope, we got to try that again. And he was great. And so he has now volunteered his time to videotape all of my little messages to the community. So that's been actually a really fun quarantine activity for he and I. Lots of laughs. He likes to take ridiculous pictures of me when my face freezes funny. He thinks it's me. So it's just a way that I've really been wanting to reach out. So if you happen to see the video, you could share that too. It's just another avenue to describe all of the things that the city is doing and to kind of lift people up a little bit. So I thank all of you for all you're doing. Everyone on council has been amazing. Heather and her staff, remarkable. So thank you for all of that. We truly live in a special place. So that was the end of me. Joanna, what do you have?
Two quick items tonight. First, just for the public's information and city councils, the bid opening process is a collaborative effort between the city clerk's office and the finance department. And to keep business moving forward during the city facility closures, we have taken a new approach to the bid openings. So if folks navigate on our city website to the bid page that lists all of the different RFPs and formal bids that the city is seeking, there will be links there to view live stream videos of those bid openings. We did our first one today. The most efficient way to navigate to those videos is to visit that web page and then click on the link to go to the YouTube page. But it's a way to honor transparency during this time and to keep those bid openings happening during our workday. So that was the first item. Second item is beginning tomorrow, staff from the city clerk's office will be participating in a local government coordination call to receive information and updates from various state agencies, including the Department of Revenue, which pertains to us for licensing, and then the Department of Local Affairs. So we're excited to get information from the state beginning tomorrow on that. And that's all.
Thank you. Corey, do you have anything?
I don't have anything to add, no.
Okay. Heather.
Thank you, Mayor Leidy. Just a couple housekeeping items based on earlier conversation. I would be happy to work with staff to find a different system to use leading up to our April 13th meeting. So if council would like me to do that, the one option that we have that I think everyone's most familiar with is Zoom meetings. We would need to acquire licensing for that, and that's easy to do. So if council directs me to do that, we can make that happen for the April 13th meeting.
I support because I'm having a really hard time.
It's not my favorite platform of all the platforms that we've had. This is Becky Brown. Yeah, this one's a little bit more difficult, but I don't know if it's worth the expense. You know, if we've already bought these licenses and we can still use them in some way, I don't know if it's worth the expense to buy more licenses. It would depend on the cost.
Catherine?
Yeah, this is Karen. This is my first time using this. I've never used Zoom. So it really, I have no opinion because I don't know what the difference would be. I mean, I don't find this too comfortable. I don't have a hand button anywhere I can see, but we seem to have managed to work around that.
Okay. Anybody else have opinions? I can't see everyone, so I'm just scrolling to see.
I'm okay.
I have one. This is Julie.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll go first. This is Julie. I just want to say it's not the best. I like Zoom. I'm actually more of a Google Hangouts person or Google Meet. So, but either one would be cool.
Yeah, we just need better functionality. Who else?
This is Ashley.
Ashley, hi.
Hi. I've never used, is it Zoom or Zoom? I've never used that before. This is really my first experience with something like this. And I've got no problem with this. This seems fine, but it seems like maybe there could be something better that would work better for everybody else.
Okay. Heather, maybe look into the cost and we can move beyond that one.
Right. We'll look at another platform or two and then put something before you for April 13th that is more user friendly. And we can certainly test it out between now and that date. The other item that I wanted to mention in regards to April 13th, all the items that we do have scheduled tentatively for that agenda are time sensitive items. So some of those items were scheduled for March 23rd, so they were already in process of development in terms of the staff memos and so forth, the presentations. So we should be in good shape to fulfill the April 13th meeting. If something changes between now and then, I will certainly let council know as soon as possible. But based on I appreciate the earlier comments about staff time, given our emergency response to COVID right now. And so we'll do our best to make that happen for April 13th. And then I'm happy to provide a COVID-19 update whenever you're ready, Mayor.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if it was a connection piece or if someone was typing, because there's a lot of sound coming on. Bob, can you hear that sound too, or is it just?
No. Oh.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Heather, go ahead.
Okay, Bob, if you'll pull up the PowerPoint, please.
I don't even know how to see the screen. Let me try.
Can everyone see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Now I can. Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Well, happy to provide our first COVID-19 update. I have to echo the thoughts shared by many members of council and the mayor this evening. We have an amazing team here at the city of Northglenn, and I'm so proud and humbled to be working alongside our hardworking staff. Our directors, our staff at all levels have stepped up and done whatever it takes to make sure that we're providing essential services to the community as well as keeping themselves healthy. So we're able to continue to do that. So here we have, we are strong. We will get through this. Northglenn proud. Next slide. So a few highlights in terms of steps that have been taken up to this point. The mayor issued the first emergency declaration on March 13th, and council approved that extension this evening. All city facilities are closed until further notice following state guidance. The city Emergency Operations Center, you've heard me use the term EOC in several emails. That was activated. We're at a level 2, which is a partial activation, which should not cause residents any concern about being at a level 2. That's an appropriate level to be at. Given this situation, we are working collaboratively with Adams County and Tri-County Health Department. I can't emphasize enough the communication that I've received from Adams County has been tremendous, and the sharing of information and willingness to be creative and collaborative to make sure that our residents' needs are considered and put first have been awesome. So next slide. So a few next steps for our residents to be aware of. In terms of communication efforts, we are going to launch telephone town hall meetings next Thursday. They will be held weekly. Next week, it will begin at 6 p.m. And with that, Diana, are you on the line?
I am.
Okay. Can you go ahead and brief council more on how these meetings will work and what their role is?
Okay. So I'm going to come with a warning and that I have 4 men in the background. So if you hear noise, that's what it is. Telephone town hall meetings. I'm working with a company called Broadnet. They have a setup where they can not only do the telephone town hall meetings, but they will also have online. We're in the process now of setting up a new web page off of the page called Virtual Town Hall. We'll not only have the live meetings there, we'll also have a conversation. So we're working on that right now. the way that the meeting would look for the public is like this. We'll call and about not quite 8,000 residents. Sorry, I'm trying to get people to quiet down here. Not quite 8,000 residents would be called, both on landlines as well as mobile lines. You'll be invited the day before to a town hall, and the next day, right before the meeting, you'll be called again. You will have an opportunity to opt out, but we would call everybody. And Broadnet says in this particular case, not very many people are opting out. Almost everybody's staying in. So we would tell them, hey, City of Northglenn's having a telephone town hall. We're going to talk about our COVID-19 response, take people's questions and concerns, just have a dialogue with our community. So 8,000 people we would reach out to, and we have a 60-minute time frame to talk to people. And let's see. So from the public standpoint, they're called and invited. They just have to stay on the phone. If they want to watch the stream, we'll give them a web address. From our perspective, you can do remote hosts, but like this platform, it would be a new one. So for our first one, I highly recommend whoever wants to be involved be in the same room. So Bob, I've already talked to Bob and my team about how we would coordinate with them. We would just pick a space in City Hall, keep our social distancing, have a web camera put up distant, and that would be the streaming. And of course, we'd have audio so everybody could hear us on the phone. So for the first one, I would recommend that we have one room with everybody who wants to be involved. And then after we have our feet wet, if people want to call in remotely and be a host, we can do that. It's just working out that system of how do you keep your hosts from not all talking at the same time, right? So you'll have to come up with some sort of system of, the mayor or somebody saying, hey, can you take this question? Or does somebody have something to say? So trying to figure out that system. So that's it internally, and that's it to the public. Other questions about the virtual town hall?
Diana, I had a question. I thought we had talked about doing it in reverse, where the first one was going to be a limited number of council unless they wanted to call in. Or like, what if council doesn't feel comfortable coming to a room together?
I think the first one is just one place with whether you have 3 people or 5 people. It's kind of at your discretion and your decision. It's your meeting. But I do think it should be in one place. So whether that's you and the city manager and the police chief or mayor pro tem, council members, that's up to you guys to decide. But I think we should have it in one location so we don't push our knowledge of the technology. And if once that goes well, which I'm sure it will go wonderfully, right? You have an opportunity for other people to host from other locations. But what that means for whoever is the moderator is not only will it be the people in the room, a bunch of other people are calling in and can talk at any time and answer questions from the public. Things that are coming from the public, I'll be screening and feeding to you. So the public can only talk one at a time because they're filtered through the company and myself. But all of your hosts can all talk at the same time. So if you're all in the same room, that's not very hard. But if you're on 8 different phone calls, a little rougher. Does that make sense?
It does. I'm just concerned about if, I want council members to feel invited, but not required. So if we're hosting something like this, I don't want anyone to feel pressured to attend if it's not something they're comfortable doing.
And I don't think there is any pressure. I just think it's at your discretion what you guys want to offer for this town hall. I'm setting up the system and the tech. That's as far as I'm going. How you want to run the meeting, the agenda for the meeting. Give us direction and we'll make it happen.
So we should probably sort that out now if it's already scheduled for next Thursday.
And it is tentative. We haven't promoted that date anywhere, but we would like to start promoting it tomorrow in our new newsletter. Randall's waving his hand.
Okay, Randall.
Well, not waving, just trying to say a few things. So this is scheduled for next week, Diana?
We have a tentative date of Thursday at 6 p.m. And that's the direction I received from the city manager that she wanted it to start next week and schedule it weekly, but play it by ear.
I love the idea of the telephone town hall. And again, this is Randall Peterson. here we are having a city council meeting virtually, and in less than a week, people would be coming to a central location. And it seems to me, I mean, not the public, but council. Yes. And it seems to me that, right now in the middle of the pandemic, love the idea of doing everything we can to communicate with our residents. But I'll just throw this out there is that I would be a hesitant participant, not because of community engagement, but because of the uncertainty of where we're at with our social distancing right now. And especially if we're having council meetings, virtually and canceling council meetings, I would just be a little concerned that we would be perhaps sending the wrong message so early about being in a group together, in lieu of the warnings.
Meredith, can I jump in?
Yes, please.
Thanks. This is Julie. I don't know how to do the hand thing, so I'm just going to jump in. So, anyway, I actually kind of agree with Randall. I have always wanted to do a telephone town hall and with everyone in the same room, and I thought it would be really great. But I think with the times that we're in, if you think about it, we'd have at least, say everyone showed up, we'd have 9 council members, plus Heather, plus Corey, plus Diana. I mean, plus others. I mean, that's definitely a large group, right? And I think that the purpose of this telephone town hall is going to be COVID related, COVID response related. And so I would feel comfortable, obviously listening in, but I know that I don't really have much to contribute to this town hall. I think a lot of it is going to be, Heather answering questions that our citizens have. And so I would be comfortable sitting this one out, given that, the times that we're in, I would not want to put anyone else at risk. I definitely think there's people on our council who should not be there in the group the size of group that we're in. So, I mean, I would be comfortable with Heather moving forward and maybe Meredith, you supporting, you representing council on our behalf. But I don't feel like I have enough to contribute to actually be present at that meeting. So that's just my 2 takes.
Thank you. Jenny?
Thank you, Mayor. I completely agree with everything that Julie said. I'm really thankful that we are doing these meetings. I've had a number of conversations with residents who feel like they are hearing a lot of info about what's happening at the state and, in particular, residents who don't necessarily utilize the computer or technology are just really wanting to hear from the city right now. And so I feel like this really solves that issue. I guess I'm happy to listen in, but I don't know that, outside of Heather or Meredith that, anybody has any burning questions in particular for me. And I feel like, this is a perfect leadership role. This is the perfect way for Meredith to lead. And I totally trust her being the face of our council and being able to speak for us as it pertains to these calls.
Meredith?
Yes, I see you. Sorry, Catherine.
Okay. Hi. I like the idea of doing this, and I'm glad to think about doing it once a week. I think, and I don't want to be putting all of this on Meredith either, on our mayor, but perhaps for the first one or even all of them, we should limit it to 2 or 3 people, and maybe we could each take turns as long as Heather or whoever from the staff feels comfortable being there and answering, most of the technical or detailed questions. I would be happy to show up for one of these and try and do my best to answer questions and just to be a point of contact for people. But I really I'm not comfortable with this idea of all of us in the same room at the same time. Trying to be 6 feet apart from each other just seems like it would be pretty awkward. And maybe, I don't know what other people feel like about doing this, but maybe if we had one or two council members alongside one or two staff members, maybe that would be a way to accomplish what we're hoping to accomplish.
Can I jump in briefly?
Yeah.
Again, this is Diana.
Hi.
Hi. Again, this is Diana. And so the telephone town hall with this particular company and the contract that we're working on, I have arranged for 5 meetings that need to be used in a year. We can add on. Of course, it all costs money. I would highly recommend that. I like the idea of once a week, but we should really decide depending on our participation. If you have 20 people call in, obviously we don't want to use those meetings up if we're not going to get a good response. So I did want to say, I think we should only advertise them one at a time and decide as we move forward. And just to make sure I understand what everybody's hearing is City Manager Geyer and Mayor Leidy should host the first one. And then perhaps moving forward, we can have additional council members, but we need to have a limited number of people in the room that are on the live stream. So just want to make sure I have that correct.
I think so. I mean, I'm okay because one of the people that brought it forward was Mayor Pro Tem Wilford, and I'd be happy to have her join in. I think that's where I was confused. I completely agree that if our topic is the COVID response, then we can't model that by having full council present. Even if we are sitting super far away in a big room, it defeats the purpose. So it really does need to be that small group. And then I think we do kind of see how it goes week to week, because, depending on participation and where things take a turn, weekly town halls might be appropriate, but they also could be overkill. So I think we just kind of see how it goes week to week.
So Meredith, this is Joyce.
Hi.
Hi. I just wanted to weigh in. I've been listening to all of this, and I really believe with all the outreach that the governor is having, the health communities, I think there's a place for the town hall meetings, the phone, but I'm wondering if maybe right now it's not the time to have the entire council be on these things. I would totally support Heather and yourself, but having the entire council be there at this time, I just don't, or even more than the two of you, because you still have to have Diana there. We have some staff there also. It defeats the purpose, I believe.
Yes, thank you. Did we hear from everybody that wanted to share? I think so. And at some point we lost Antonio, just to note. Okay, Heather, do you want to keep moving? Do you have enough direction to move forward?
I do. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for that direction. We are also, Jason and I have been in pretty regular communication about the overall fiscal health of the city. I think important for council to know and important for the public to know tonight that the city has a healthy reserve in our general fund budget. So we are not having discussions about cuts and not paying employees. That's not the state of Northglenn. We are well situated financially, and we will continue to pay employees. This is a circumstance outside of their control, outside of all of our control. And so I will keep council apprised of any decisions or discussions that we need to have moving forward in regards to the overall city fiscal health. We are also evaluating impacts to businesses. Debbie and Shannon have been doing an excellent job in reaching out personally to our business community. They are compiling information in terms of businesses that are being impacted and are having to make those tough decisions to close for a period of time. So between finance from a tax remittance perspective, and then Debbie and Shannon on the front end really reaching out to businesses, I would say we have a good pulse on how our business community is doing, and we'll continue to provide them with resources here at the city. Next slide. Bob, next slide. Thank you. So I just want to recap that the governor has issued several public health orders in hopes of preventing the spread of COVID-19. He has suspended in-person learning at all schools through April 17th. As the mayor mentioned earlier, that does not include closure of schools in the sense that learning is still taking place remotely. My niece and nephew are in the same boat. In Kansas, they closed school through the end of the year. And so they're adjusting to online learning systems. The governor also closed all mass gatherings in areas such as restaurants, theaters, and casinos. And we know that this is the order that has hit our business community probably most significantly. So we're going to continue to work with them and make sure that they have the resources they need. He has prohibited public gatherings of more than 10 people. So we have been consistent in terms of application of this guidance with our parks. Our parks, trails, and open spaces are still open for the public. However, we have posted signs at our park pavilions, and we're not accepting park pavilion reservations. The governor's also launched the hashtag Doing My Part Colorado campaign to spread awareness about COVID-19 and the need for social distancing. And then he also launched a helpcoloradonow.org webpage the other day. I think this is just a couple days old in terms of really providing a landing page for individuals who want to volunteer their time and energy, who may want to contribute financially to the overall state's response to COVID-19. Next slide. Want to put a plug in for our Adams 12 5-star schools. They are providing a grab and go meal program. One of their pickup locations is Northglenn High School. This is their original schedule, and I believe because of the snow, I'm looking at my phone. Sorry about that if that's distracting. They have shifted their time for Friday pickup. So I would recommend that residents look at the Adams 12 5-star school webpage. Normally their pickup times are between 10:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. I do want to share one thing with council. Let me just jump to this text message real quickly. Pat Hamilton with Adams 12 5-star schools shared with me today that they served 14,600 meals, which was a 344% increase from when they started the program on Tuesday. So if you're interested in volunteering, please reach out to Adams 12 schools. I know we've shared this information on our city social media, and they definitely need the help. Next slide. This is the state page. Hashtag Doing My Part is the hashtag that the governor has launched in building awareness of COVID-19. The state page that you can find linked off of our city website is covid19.colorado.gov, and it consists of a wealth of information, everything from business resources to just staying up to date on how many cases are in the state of Colorado. Next slide. This is our Northglenn page. We have redesigned the front page in terms of putting COVID resources on areas that were previously for other programs and services. So on this page, you can see when you go to northglenn.org that we have prepared resources. So we have overall official actions. We have a link specifically to remote city services that residents can access and business community can access via phone and online resources. Resources on how you can help, and then business resources. So again, Debbie and Shannon are continuing to build this page out based on all of the new information that is really coming out on a daily basis between our partners here in Adams County, the State Office of Economic Development, state funding resources, as well as federal resources that we're learning more about on a daily basis. Next slide. The mayor mentioned this Facebook group earlier, so I won't spend a lot of time on this, but wanted to highlight the Northglenn Cares public group that's accessible for individuals who want to help out in Northglenn. Next slide. Also a plug for state resources, helpcoloradonow.org is that page that I was referring to in terms of individuals who may want to make a financial donation. There's also information about blood donations. I know SCL just shared information with us today, and I believe it's been shared on our social media platforms for blood donations. I believe they're doing a blood drive next week. So you'll find that information there. Next slide. And then again, just to highlight business resources and guide to city services staff, we're really doing as much as we can to keep essential services up and running. And with that, just give us the benefit of the doubt and ask questions. I'll talk a little bit more about what's essential, but we're really trying to do as much as we can remotely. And so we've deployed additional laptops and provided staff with VPN access so that they can access our city systems remotely from their homes. We have very limited staff working in our facilities. In order to provide essential services, there is a need and requirement that some staff work out of our city facilities, such as water, wastewater, maintenance, and operations. So I highly recommend that residents use these links to find what information is available. But when in doubt, you can still call us and we'll do whatever we can to help you. Next slide. So in terms of essential city services, our plows are out tonight. I've seen them go up and down the streets in my neighborhood, and trash pickup as well is still moving forward. Police officers are doing really great work patrolling our streets and making sure that we're responding to calls. We are on accident alert, so we would like residents to follow that guidance, just like you see during winter weather when we see a significant increase in accidents, that residents follow accident alert systems. And then in terms of our wastewater sanitation systems, we have been pushing out information to residents and recommending that you do not put anything, do not flush anything down your toilets that you wouldn't normally flush down your toilets. So toilet paper is acceptable. Anything else is not acceptable. Given the high demand of residents being in homes for longer periods of time than normal, we want to make sure that we keep our sanitation systems up and running. And if backups get created, it is difficult, and we'll do everything we can to make sure to resolve those as quickly as possible. But the key is to make sure that only toilet paper goes down the toilets in your homes. Next slide. City utility billing. We still have the ability to, residents have the ability rather to pay utility bills online. You can call us. The information is on the city website. You can send us an email if you have any questions. I have been advising council that we are going to hopefully be able to do work on a sanitation line related to the construction of the new recreation center. Starting next week, we're hoping to start it within the last couple of days, but weather has pushed that out. So what that means is residents will not be able to access the driveway into the main parking lot of City Hall. And we will push out information to let residents know that you can pay your utility bills in terms of in person, dropping them off in our payment box at the Justice Center. So we'll make sure we get information out to residents about that. But we're trying to utilize this time with our contractor on the rec center project to go ahead and do the construction on the sanitation line because it'll be less disruptive to do it now than it would be if we had our normal daily traffic in and out of our building. Next slide. So as I mentioned earlier, our parks, trails, and open spaces are open. We have not closed them to the public, not foreseeing any additional guidance from the state. That's how we're operating. We are recommending that residents practice good social distancing when they're out and about and enjoying our parks and open spaces. Next slide. And here's an example of a communication that the governor's office has put out in terms of social distancing. The recommendation is 6 feet, which is about the length of skis if you're a ski enthusiast. Next slide. And then here's just a quick look at coronavirus prevention tips. So keep your hands clean, disinfect, and be aware if you have any symptoms to reach out to your healthcare provider. Next slide. And I'll end there with saying we're going to continue to do our part here in Northglenn and just appreciate the support from our residents and business community, the leadership by mayor and council, and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to get off the screens. Does anybody have any questions? Julie, checking in. How are you doing?
Doing great. No questions.
No questions. Okay. And we did lose Antonio. He said he had a bad connection. Randall.
Not a question, but love the two twice a day updates. And so thank you and staff for putting those together. It's interesting during these times. It's kind of, I look forward to them like clockwork. You know, it's with dead time. It's like, well, I can check the update in an hour. And so thanks for your hard work, Heather. Thanks for staff's hard work, and thanks for the twice daily updates.
You're welcome.
Mayor.
Yes.
This is Corey. I do have one other quick item, and I just got emailed an order. And so there are some additional closures from an additional order from the state, and it looks like non-essential personal services, things like nail salons, hair salons, tattoo parlors for those of you getting planning on getting a new tattoo in the next couple weeks. So I'm sure it'll be in Heather's update tomorrow, but it is quickly moving, and that's the most recent order. And so unfortunately,
I was wondering.
Unfortunately, I think that'll impact our small businesses even more significantly.
Wow. Okay. I did wonder about that. I saw some discussion about it, and I wasn't sure if the salon made the decision on their own or if it was an actual order. That does make a difference. Oh, as you said earlier, Corey, it changes by the hour. So do we have any final thoughts from council as we get ready to adjourn? No. Okay. Well, then I will just say thank you so much for participating and being flexible. Thank you, Bob, for putting this together for us so that we were able to meet virtually. Although it's rocky, I really do appreciate it because I know it was a lot of work on your end. So thank you for that. And we will talk soon. I wish everyone a good night. The meeting is adjourned.
Keep well.